What's up, y'all? I'm back with another episode, and tonight I kind of want to do something special in honor of me being in the season of sin. Yeah, and a season of sin. I kind of want to reiterate what it truly means. I mean, like it's just giving myself a chance to self-reflect. It's giving me a chance to embrace, my faults and my weaknesses, and giving myself a chance to express strength, through those. Like I say, we all sin. It's in human nature, but it's our job to continue to try to be better. And I'm just want to show myself that, yeah, I may sin, but I still get up and I keep going and I strive to do better and I seek repentance and I seek forgiveness from the Heavenly Father. So yeah, let's not waste no time. I want to do a ranking of my top 5 sinners with an honorable mention with those who I have empathy for. So I want to start off with Adam. Adam, I feel like he got a bad deal with the whole Adam and Eve situation. I don't even want to get too deep into that one, but yeah, that's my honorable mention. I have really a lot of empathy for Adam's situation. So we're gonna start off with 5, and that's Saul. It's no secret about the story of King Saul. He was originally anointed, by God, but he disobeyed and he wasn't doing the right thing. So David took his place. And the reason why I had empathy for Saul is because it's a very relatable situation. We all in life can be put in a situation to where we get replaced by somebody and it can be humiliating and we might not know how to handle it. Saul was just embarrassed. He was just hurt about the fact that he had got replaced by David, and Samuel was kind of condemning him, and God didn't want to connect with him no more, and he shows up David, and it's just like he's just taking his place. We all can relate to something like that. You could be released from a basketball team and replaced by another player. Your girl could leave you for another dude. Somebody else can get promoted over you in your place at a job. We all can kind of relate to being replaced. And there's no telling how somebody's going to react to something like that. So I had sympathy for David, for Saul, because I felt like Saul was a good guy at heart. He was just jealous. He was fearful of David, and he did a lot of erratic things. But, I feel like David felt like Saul was a good guy because God anointed him for a reason. It's just that he wasn't able to follow through on everything that he was supposed to do because he wasn't obedient. But like I said, I just felt for Saul. And number 4, we're gonna go with David. Yeah, David was a great king. He reestablished everything. He was just a great leader in all aspects of being a king. He united Israel and Judah. It's so many things that David did that was great. But his one big sin was sending a man to battle because he lusted after his wife and he wanted her that bad. And the reason I had empathy for David in that situation, because I know all my fellas could speak to this. Sometimes you see a woman so drop dead gorgeous, whether she's taken or not, and you be like, man, I gotta have her. Whether if you act on it or not, that's kind of a different story, and I hope that most of us don't. But sometimes you see a young lady so beautiful, whether she got a man or not, you be like, man, I gotta have her. I'm pursuing her, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get her. It was wrong of David, and David, had to, of course, answer to God for the things that he had done. But I feel like, man, I kind of have empathy. I empathize with that because, man, she must have been a beautiful woman because we've all been there. We see a woman so beautiful, man. We just like, man, I don't know, man. I'm going to do what I got to do. But yeah, that's number 4. And number 3, we're going to go Absalom. Now, Absalom was David's son. And the situation that went down with Absalom, it was a situation where David's daughter had got raped, and Absalom, went and killed his brother, which was the one who kind of raped his sister. And he ended up leading a rebel against David, and it was a whole big thing, and he just kind of went rogue and just was going crazy. And eventually he ends up getting killed in battle by Joab, which is David's main soldier. So yeah, the reason I empathize with Absalom, because at the end of the day, you can't say that he was really in the wrong, even though things ended up very tragically for him. Because, he even told them, like, man, you can take me before, my father, and if I have any inequity in me, then you can kill me. But Absalom from the point of view that he was looking at, that he had done nothing wrong and that he really hated his father for not kind of getting more involved in the situation and handling that situation accordingly as he saw appropriate. So yeah, man, it was a shame what happened to Absalom because, he started to hate his father and, bad things that happened to his sister through his own family. And I just really had empathy for Absalom. He really lost it. And any man would lose it if somebody defiled his sister in any type of way, And number 2, we're going to go the Apostle Paul, my favorite man. Apostle Paul, he was, of course, persecutor of Christians. You know, he had done a lot of bad, you know, to people that, you know, follow Jesus Christ. And, you know, of course, he got converted and he recovered from it. But the reason I have empathy with him is because, you know, it got to a point where God submitted him, and it's just like he had to suffer for the sake of Jesus Christ, you know. And he ended up walking into his purpose and end up doing the best he can, and he ended up being, to me, the most prolific disciple of Jesus of all time. But the reason I had empathy was because he didn't know what he was doing. You know, they felt like the whole Messiah thing, they felt like that was false. They felt like that was a false prophecy, and they felt like they were doing right in the eyes of the Lord. But, you know, things come out, and you know, Jesus comes to Paul directly and asks, why you persecuted me? And then Paul knew right then and there that everything that he had done was wrong. So yeah, I'm always have empathy for Paul and his sins, you know. And number one, this might be the one that touches my heart the most. King Zedekiah. Now, I made a whole story about this, and you know, you guys know how I feel about King Zedekiah. He really gives me no reason to feel sorry for him, and for my heart to have a soft spot for him like I do. But I just do. You know, Zedekiah was really forced into a very tough situation. You know, Zedekiah, you know, he showed moments of consciousness and want to do right for God, but he was just a scared dude. You know, he wasn't made for the situation that was put upon him, as I mentioned in my video. You know, he did some things where it looked like he may be on the right path, but you know, he never had the strength to kind of walk and do the right things that Jeremiah and God was telling him to do. You know, and the thing about Zedekiah, you know, he had to watch his children be murdered. You know, he had to sit in prison for who knows how long, and he had his eyeballs gouged out. So it's like, I just felt like all the sins of the forefathers before him just came upon Zedekiah. And, you know, God showed Zedekiah mercy because, you know, he let him die a peaceful death. You know, he didn't kill him by the sword. But man, it's just something about that Zedekiah story. I love Zedekiah so much, you know, and I hope God doesn't, you know, judge me for loving Zedekiah like that. But I just love Zedekiah, man, and I really feel sorry for the situation, and I really hurt for what happened to Zedekiah, because I just know deep down Zedekiah was a good dude, man. But he just, sometimes we get put in situations and it's hard for us to overcome them. But you can always learn from things. And it's a verse that I want to read regarding all of these guys. It's I'm gonna put the verse in the description, but it says, and whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it, or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. So yeah, in this life, everything's not always going to be flowers and roses. You know, everything's not always going to be great. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, sometimes we sin, sometimes we do saint things. And, you know, it's not always going to be great. But I think it's important to always have that empathy, that sympathy, that love, that forgiveness that God has, you know, because we try our best to reflect him in any way that's possible. And he does it. So we should be doing it. So I just wanted to take the time to show the sinners some love, man, because at the end of the day, you never want to be too harsh on people, because it could be you the next day. You know, you could be talking about something somebody did one day, and that could be you doing that very next thing the next day. You know, the judgment is all God's, man. I'm just trying to practice, you know, having a very soft heart. I'm trying to just practice, you know, just trying to see the good in people instead of the bad. You know, these guys all did some things, but it was all little moments in what they did that I kind of seen the goodness in them. And I just, you know, yeah, I just wanted to take this time out to do that. So yeah, y'all, I'm in the season of sin right now. You know, I'm moving past it. I'm walking forward. But yeah, I just wanted to take the time to show the sinners some love.